Hey Dave, this is Justin from Las Vegas, and I want to preface this by saying that I am a 26-year-old black man. I think that's important to make that distinction
Hi, Justin.
because my perspective is going to be based on my experience. Now, I want to comment on the whole Prager Zoom roundtable discussion, which was basically just three people going back and forth about how much they agree with each other and how offended they are by the reaction of those who are personally triggered by Rachel and Chris's actions.
Right.
But anyway, I'm getting really tired of the ignorance and lack of education excuse. While that may be true, there are plenty of people who don't want to be educated. You can lead them to the water, but you can't make them drink. They can be willfully obtuse and willfully ignorant. Irredeemable? No. But redemption comes at the cost of disabling your privilege for just enough time to understand that these issues are not imaginary. Rachel Kirkconnell owns up to the fact that she was wrong, and you have this roundtable of people making the same mistake that Chris Harrison did, and he basically went against everything Rachel wanted to take responsibility for. For Chris, doing the work means hiring a lawyer because he's the victim of accountability. We're in 2021 and we still are conflating cancel culture with accountability. I'm also tired of hearing the word grace. I mean, it seems to be heavily reserved for the lightest pigmentation in the room. To me, this roundtable seems tone deaf and a really great example of white fragility. I don't know if Garrett swiped out his Confederate flag for an American one, but he's been extremely racially problematic, so it's no surprise he shrugged at the topic, you know? And Jordan Kimball, didn't you cancel your fiance when you jumped to conclusions only to later find out she was telling the truth? And the other woman, who is she to tell someone of another race or ethnicity what they should be offended by? You know, they wore a Native American costume for Halloween and they're all cheering about it like it's a good thing. That was embarrassing. I know this show was not created for people like me, so I don't expect any change. In fact, I think they need to just keep it white. Live in your bubble, leave us out of it, because diversifying The Bachelor, you know, it seems to be as difficult as the integration of blacks and whites attending the same schools in 1954. I would strongly advise that black people take a very good look at what they're subjecting themselves to when they go on this show. If we're not there, you can't hurt us. Make The Bachelor great again. You didn't want us for 15 to 20 years, so we get the hint. Thanks, Dave. I enjoy your content, and I appreciate the discourse.
Justin from Las Vegas, you, my friend, just won call of the episode. Unbelievable. This guy just laid it out. Justin from Las Vegas, I enjoyed your call so much. That was the speech I had to include. If you guys are new to my channel, I got a button here. You know what I mean? I got my button here, right? So I play. So once in a while, I'll go on a little rant and I'll play a little bit of the good old fashioned Star Spangled Banner over here. You know what I'm talking about? And I tell you what, I just felt the urge. I couldn't even control my hands. I was just like, oh my, I couldn't even stop myself from doing it. It was just like, you were so spot on with everything you were saying there. I need no response. Justin, I do want to live in a world where you feel like The Bachelor is for you, and that these divisive racial conversations aren't so tone deaf and in some sort of echo chamber with people that don't want to learn. You can bring someone to the water and you can't make them drink. It's a great analogy. Thank you so much for the call. The conversation around race is no matter which way you look, it is the most influential, most important conversation that happens in Bachelor Nation. And is it because it hasn't been addressed for so long? Is it because we're kind of people that used to be bigots that you never would have heard of? Do they have platforms now? What's the case? You know, a lot of people say there isn't racism, but you know, if like I played that Prager University video, which boy did that create some controversy. But it's like, you can't have a bunch of white people saying that we're moving past racism if there's a bunch of people of color that say, well, we aren't there yet. You know, you can't say we're moving past it, you know, unless everyone's in agreement, like, all right, let's move forward to the next step of the world. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, it's going to be a part of our dialogue, you know. As long as there's social media, as long as we're talking to our constituents and our fellow countrymen, it's going to be a part of our dialogue, whether you feel like it's we're over it or not. I don't mean you specifically, but anyone in the audience. Oh, I just lost my Arkansas caller. Here's Arkansas. Let's go to Arkansas.
Hi, Dave. I'm from Arkansas, and I had an interaction here recently that just made me think of something that Emmanuel Alcho had said. And I don't know if you're even still talking about this, but I wanted to bring it up and just kind of use this as encouragement for other people. I ran into a black man the other day, and I'm from the South. I'm a white woman from the South. And, we tend to get a reputation for a lot of racism, and a lot of times deservedly so. And I ran into this man, and he was speaking, and I had hollered out to him to say, hey, and I was going to tell him he had said something about Chick-fil-A. And my response was going to be, hey, thanks for mentioning Chick-fil-A, because now I'm craving it for sure. And, he kind of looked at me when I said, hey, and I could see it on his face. He thought I was going to say something just racist or awful. And it clicked in my head what Emmanuel Acho had said about how,
oh, sorry. Jeez, I need to get better at this.
How he was saying that, what if you're the only black person this person meets today, and like putting out a good front. And in my head, it clicked, like, what if I am the only non-racist, nice white person that this person sees today? Or even Christian, I'm a Christian. What if I am the only Christian that this person interacts with today, and how my words have so much meaning? And like I said, I could tell from the look on his face that he thought I was going to say something totally different, but I made a joke and we talked, and it was a great conversation. And it just made me leave thinking, you have to be careful with what you say and careful with what you do, because you might be the only person that person receives kindness from that day. So I just wanted to say that in response to Emmanuel Acho's thing that he had said. And yeah, I love your show. So thanks, Dave.
Arkansas coming in saying, be careful what you say, be careful what you do.
Be careful who you bang.
And be careful who you bang. You're not the same caller who said,
be careful who you bang.
I need to find out who that is. Write in, whoever's the be careful who you bang person. We'd love to hear from you. You're absolutely right. It's very interesting. This is, of course, Emmanuel Acho from his playing days. We always show his photos in his nice suits, but we need to show this true, just behemoth. Look at these arms. You kidding me? Imagine this guy trying to arm tackle you. You take your head off. Fly, Eagles, fly. So the idea that he might be the only black person somebody sees, and he wants to, and again, that's not an idea that's necessarily I understand his idea. If he's the only black person someone sees today, he wants to be a good ambassador for his people. With that said, you shouldn't have to do that. Like, you shouldn't have to have that burden. You should be able to be you. Have a bad day at the DMV. You should be able to be you. But of course, with respect to him, understanding that you might be the only person someone sees that day, that's a sort of a burden you take on. And for our caller in Arkansas, knowing that you might have a bad rap of the racism in the South. And don't get me wrong, it's everywhere, okay? I'm not coming to you from Rhode Island saying it doesn't exist. We just don't, have our Confederate flags going around, which some might say is even more dangerous to not know the enemy that's around you. So with that said, and it doesn't mean there aren't great people. You sound like an amazing person there, our friend in Arkansas. You sound like such an amazing, nice person. And for you to understand that even knowing that you've got an amazing, gentle warmth Christianity inside of you, for you to recognize his fear takes a lot of empathy. And that's what we need in this country, to understand that the hostility and the guard that is up really requires, especially when we have masks on, it really requires us to smile even extra big, to show people whatever you need to do to show them that, to show each other that we are your loving brothers and sisters. I have this same issue when I go on stage with stand-up comedy. When you get on stage with stand-up, you release a lot of adrenaline, you get excited to talk, you're ready to go. If the audience doesn't see the warmth in my face and voice before I can begin to tell you what's wrong with the world, they're not going to like me. And it's important that you realize on stage as a stand-up to gain the likeness from your audience. It doesn't mean you have to be being likable doesn't mean you got to be like, hey, everybody. It just means you guys got to understand, I need to connect to you guys. I need to ground myself to you and be extra sure that we're on the same page before we fight the fight. And that's what we have to do in our everyday interactions with the postman, with the barista, with everybody. When it comes to Chick-fil-A, they've got some great customer service. They make you feel like $1 million. It is so important in today's world to ground yourself, which, of course, when you talk about the internet, is nearly impossible to do when you're just a name with a stupid face on a screen on Facebook. It's very hard to show that warmth. I talk all the time on my podcast about warmth and competence, but that's what you're battling. I battle it when I go on stage and stand up. You battle it when you accidentally cut somebody off and they think you're a horrible person. We feel misunderstood non-stop. I look like I have deep inset eyes. When I don't have the lights on me, I just have this like shadow under my eyes and I look like an asshole. I look like, I get it. I'm just a prick guy in his 30s. I totally get it. If someone's having a bad day, they'll look at me that way. And I don't even have to deal with the fact that I'm getting prejudged because of the color of my skin. You know what I mean? I'm getting prejudged because I cut somebody. That's what it comes down to, is if someone's an a-hole to me, I just think that they're an a-hole. If someone's an a-hole to Emmanuel Acho, you might have to wonder if they don't like him for the color of his skin. I don't have to have that burden on me. It's a real unfortunate thing that's what other people have. Hey, these are the calls you guys are giving me, and that's what we're going to talk about. Let's move over here to a new call.
Hey, Dave. This isn't about Bachelor-related things.
No
I just
worries.
wanted to say thank you so much for doing what you do. I have terrible anxiety, and for some reason, reality TV and hearing your recaps helped me a lot. So just thank you so much. Love ya. Keep doing great. And I'll be watching. Bye.